January months in advance. The big snow may have skipped town, but the big freeze has gripped down hard. An overnight black ice alert on the roads.
Plus, talking turkey. Why the bill for your bird will probably be higher this holiday season.
And city sidewalks, busy sidewalks. It's really beginning to look a lot like Christmas. News Channel 3 Tonight starts now.
Good evening. I'm Tim here in Huntington.
I'm Amanda Barron in Charleston. First tonight, the entire region is frozen and roads everywhere are full of accidents. Check out this accident. It happened on Interstate 64 near the Cross Lanes exit tonight. It happened about 9:30. Look at the roads there. A car spun out, and that's the reason why. Major ice, major damage to that car. And this, Tim, really is the situation just about everywhere.
Yeah, you can see how slick the roads are and feel them if you're out there. Unfortunately, that's the very tough part. Traffic is very slow right near the Kanawha-Putnam line tonight on 64 because the roads are so icy. So at least that's one good thing. People are slowing down and at least driving with a little more caution. We do have reports, though, of the Taze Valley exit being pure ice. So keep this in mind as you head out in the morning. Of course, the crews will be out overnight as the temperatures continue to drop, and those cold temperatures started to push in early today. But Tony, the thing is that's going to make it even harder on the road crews is it's going to get even colder.
Yeah, those temperatures are plunging well down in the teens, and it's not the quantity of snow but the quality. So let's go right to HD dual Doppler radar. A lot of flurries out there, but what we're looking for on the dual Doppler radar is an enhancement, the brighter blues, if you will. South of Spencer on 119, heading up I-79 right now. There's a good streak over near Ripley. East of Charleston City into the eastern end of the county, you can see some pretty good streaks down toward Marmette and down toward the upper end of the Kanawha Valley. And a new streak has just formed east of Huntington. Can you see that blue streak that's going down toward Salt Rock, toward Winslow, and toward Inez, which is in Cabell County? They are likely going to create some slick travel conditions on untreated roads. And a real heavy streak is now along the Appalachian Highway from MacArthur west to the Scioto Trail. That's State Route 23 coming out of Ross into parts of Jackson and Vinton County. This is going to create havoc with travel conditions on the Bob Evans Highway here in another hour or so. And we're getting reports of slick conditions also down through the southeast Kentucky and southern West Virginia coal fields. The big picture tomorrow morning for the kids who do have school, record cold. 15 on the thermometer, will feel as low as 0 with the wind chill. Off and on flurries amidst periods of sunshine tomorrow, and a late day temperature of only 25 degrees. Careful of the coating of snow to hide the black ice. Arctic cold with near record chill. Wait for the weekend for your tailgate party for the temperature to warm up. My 7-day shares that. It's worth watching when I come back here in a few minutes, guys.
All right. Hey, thanks, Tony. Well, those frigid temperatures have already caused some major problems, as we've shown you on the roads.
It's a busy night for first responders out there. And as you just heard, the temperature is supposed to keep going lower. News Channel 3's Rebecca Pewitt joins us with some ways to avoid black ice when you're on the roads.
Conditions here in the Kanawha Valley have gotten progressively worse throughout the evening. But this is just another reminder to give yourself extra time when you get up in the morning to get to work. Drivers in our region know there's no way to avoid it.
It's something we have to tolerate.
And as snow covers the car of Michael Clifford, he knows the winter weather is officially here. Temperatures are expected to hit a record low Tuesday morning. Couple that with the rain and the wet snow we had Monday, and that means black ice.
If you can see it in advance, you slow down, try to go straight. Try not to turn. If you don't see it, there's no hope for you.
Which is exactly why officials with the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office are urging people to take it easy on the roads.
Adjust your speed, adjust your driving, adjust your course so that you don't go into it in a steep curve where if you lost control, then you would go off the roadway.
Corporal Humphrey says if and when you hit ice, the best thing to do is gently apply pressure to the brake, but be sure not to come to a complete stop so that once the car is off the ice, you still have control. But most importantly, he says preparation and patience can go a long way when the roads begin to freeze.
Before you go to work in the morning, if you know that there's going to be some bad weather, take a look at the forecast, find out what the temperature is.
But drivers like Clifford say all the preparation in the world may not prepare them for what this winter has in store.
I can't imagine it being any worse than last winter, but you just do the best you can and go with it.
A refresher course never hurts. If you need extra tips on how to drive in black ice or conditions like these, we've posted a link on featured links on the app and on WSAZ.com.
All right, Rebecca, thanks so much. A couple of other things. You can follow 511 on Twitter. They give you instant updates on road conditions right there.
The weather has made traveling across our region a nightmare. The southbound lanes of I-77 are closed in the Ripley area after a tractor-trailer crash. That accident happened around 8:30 tonight. Ripley police say they have had around 6 wrecks on 77 since 6:30 tonight. They believe the accidents are weather-related. And now to a traffic alert in Huntington. Downed power lines, a real problem. It's on 5th Street Hill, and it's shut down right at Miller Road. We first told you about this at 6 o'clock today. Here's a look at the traffic backup from the road closures this afternoon. Dispatchers tell us the cleanup could take until midnight. So for now, well, you'll definitely want to avoid 5th Street Hill to get in and out of Huntington. Sadness in South Point, Ohio tonight. A lot of people mourning the loss of 2 teenagers killed in a car crash. Jacob Dameron, only 17 years old, was killed in that accident on US 52 at Lick Creek Road. His passenger, Sarah Toman, also 17, died late this afternoon from her injuries at St. Mary's. And tonight, family, friends, and classmates came together at South Point High School for a candlelight vigil to remember the teens who were taken too soon. News Channel 3's Andrew Colgrove was there at the emotional service.
You're mad one minute, you're sad the next, and you just wonder why, and then there's no explanation as to why.
The tears among a standing room only crowd in South Point High's gymnasium made it clear how devastating a loss this was.
We just look to you right now, Lord. We look to you for strength.
He's just one of those great guys that you wanted on your side.
Students already mourning Jacob Dameron's death learned Monday afternoon his passenger, Sarah Toman, was not able to survive.
Losing her is probably the toughest thing any of us have ever gone through.
Kirsten Cox was with classmates at the hospital. She had gone to get everybody something to eat. When she returned, she discovered they would not be getting the miracle that they'd hoped for.
I came in the hospital in the hallway filled with everybody, and I had pizza in my hand, and I just saw everyone crying, and I knew
I could barely walk in the hallway today without crying.
A student body left incomplete.
I don't know how we're going to get to graduation or how we're going to focus on anything after this, but I guess we don't have a choice, and Sarah would want us to go on.
The students were allowed to miss school today to mourn. Grief counselors will be back on hand tomorrow. Kanawha County has a new prosecuting attorney. Chuck Miller was sworn in today after being chosen from a pool of 5 candidates. He's been serving as interim prosecutor since Mark Plants was removed from office. Mr. Miller says his main goals for the office include improving its relationship with law enforcement, cutting out, quote, middle school drama within the office, and adding more transparency.
I think the public needs to know, what are we doing? You know, how many cases are we prosecuting? You know, how much money are we generating? Are we working to address the jail bill, which is enormous in Kanawha County?
Miller will serve the remainder of the term, which ends at the end of 2016. Racking up parking tickets will soon be a thing of the past in Charleston. Tonight, City Council gave the green light for a new ordinance that will crack down on people with unpaid parking tickets. We first told you about this ordinance last week on News Channel 3 tonight. Now, here's how it works. A boot will be put on your car if you have up to 5 unpaid parking tickets or owe more than $250. Under the old rule, that number was 4, and your record was actually wiped clean each year. Now, that will not be the case. Feline complication in Dunbar tonight, where people learned more about a new ordinance designed to tackle the problem of the growing cat population. Wild cats people are talking about. It was the Trap Neuter Return Program's first reading at City Council, and this is how it works, and it works in other communities like this too. Anytime a humane officer sees a cat roaming around a neighborhood, they'll trap the cat and then take it to the shelter to have it neutered or spayed, and also have its ear snipped to tag it. Humane officers will then take the cat right back to the area where it was found.
This is not really for the homeowner's pet that keeps it in the house. It's for the stray cats that are running loose in town. That's what this ordinance is more about.
And then the whole idea is to put those spayed and neutered cats back out on the street without a problem. The vote will happen in a few weeks. Cat owners who are letting their feral cats, though, roam around the neighborhood, they could be cited if they can track them back to a house. Today, Moses really did mean more. The car company held a celebration tonight to unveil its newly renovated GMC Cadillac Buick building in Huntington. The party was held in the Auto Mall's new showroom right there on Route 60. Jason Moses, as in the Jason Moses, tells us the original building went up in the 1970s, so they were really kind of due for an upgrade. He says it was a multi-million-dollar investment, but he believes every penny spent is worth it. The showroom can now fit 8 to 10 cars compared to just 4 or 5, so double the space, and more shopping can be done inside. Plus, the customer lounge, they say, has doubled in size too.
The service business is important. We want to take care of the customers after they buy their car from us. We don't want them just to buy a car and never see them again. We want them to come back. So to make the service experience great, they'll keep coming back.
And get this, 4 generations of the Moses family, as you can see, all there tonight. First for Charleston this evening, as the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree makes an overnight stop. It's all lit and decorated, sitting inside the truck that will take it on to Washington, D.C. Santa Claus, along with Mayor Jones and the Appalachian Children's Chorus, rang in the celebration with the ceremony this evening. The white spruce was cut down in Minnesota, and since then it's been on a 2,000-mile trek. Its next stop is Marietta, Ohio.
3, 2, 1, let the lights come on!
And jolly old Rob was there. It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas feel in Ashland, Kentucky. The city kicked off its winter wonderland of lights this evening. It took weeks of hard work to get the displays all ready and to make sure that the lights all work. But organizers say it's all worth it. The winter wonderland of lights will stay up through January 4th.
Alpha Bunny, who makes them look apathetic. If he were any sweeter, we might end up.
Elves took over the Keith Albee tonight, specifically Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? The lovable holiday movie turned Broadway musical Stop by Huntington tonight. The story follows Buddy, who was adopted by elves as a baby, as we all know, and then makes the trip to New York City to meet his real dad. The show kept audience members in stitches the whole time and put everyone in the holiday spirit. Coming up, some of the biggest voices joined forces, hoping to heal the world through the power of music.
So black ice galore tonight. Take a look at our Logan, West Virginia weather, Ken. There's a snow burst down in the Guyandotte Valley right now that has first dampened Route 10. I would suspect the road will have to be salted as new snow flurries and showers move in overnight. Updated forecast when I come back on News Channel 3 at 11.
First warning weather.
Who's he? The Steeler receiver?
No, the running back, Le'Veon Bell. Just.
First warning weather.
Tony is in with a look at the forecast, and it's not really winter yet, but tell that to the people who have to work outside, the guys who have to work all the accidents tonight. They're feeling it.
It's a night of Arctic winds. And Tim, you and I were just talking in the break. We remember snow for the Winter Wonderland Parade in Ashland, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, but not for the lighting of the tree over at Central Park this early in the season. So maybe something big's up this winter. But let's take you on to your first forecast, where flurries will continue off and on overnight, and there are some streaks out there, or squalls. Midday will brighten up. It's blustery. The temperature starts 15 for the school bell. That's record-breaking territory. 20 midday, 25. No, this is not a January forecast. It's a January in November forecast, if you will. And by the way, at any time tomorrow, the heavens will spit a flurry, and don't be surprised if there's a snow streak that comes through during the day tomorrow, and it's cold into tomorrow night, and once again tomorrow night near record-breaking low temperatures. 7 a.m. wind chill for the kids who have school, and many of them will have delays tomorrow morning as opposed to closings. Will be hovering near zero, so it's a midwinter bundle-up morning. 22 Portsmouth, 19 Cincinnati, and that 22-degree temperatures are now into Charleston and down Corridor G. into the southern West Virginia coal fields with plenty of flurries out there, light snow flurries, and some good streaks of snow still showing up on Doppler radar. That would be the enhanced blue just downwind from Charleston right now into the eastern end of the county right now. Some good streaks heading over toward the Clay, over toward Montgomery, and toward the Fayette County line. We're picking up a new enhancement over toward Culloden on I-64 and south down toward Salt Rock. So this activity will likely create some slick travel on Interstate 64 in Cabell and Putnam County. And back to the west, a really good snow streak crossing the Bob Evans Highway and the Appalachian Highway. This area of southern Ohio apt to get a coating of snow with some slick travel. Northern Kentucky, just a few freelance flurries right now. It's south down into the coal fields. Numerous snow flurries and snow showers. Country Music Highway, Mountain Parkway, Route 460. You get the idea. Numerous flurries are out there. Coating of snow overnight, Bob Evans and the Appalachian Highway. Likely just some flurries as you head down toward Portsmouth and Ironton, but overnight lows of 12 to 15 degrees. Few slick spots possible, AA Highway west from the snow that fell earlier today. But for the most part, if you're looking for slick travel and for school delays, look at the Kentucky coalfields. A coating of snow and temperatures in the upper teens overnight. Same through the southern West Virginia coalfields, getting a coating of snow overnight with some slick travel. Roads to be salted, probably some school delays. Sunshine alternates with clouds and passing flurries, and don't be surprised if there's a snow streak at some point during the day. And over towards Shoemaker Square in Beckley, you're looking at 1 to 2 inches of snow, fluffing to 2 to 4 up into Nicholas County. And again, the Kanawha Valley has had split slick spots. Tomorrow, new flurries amidst periods of sunshine. It's all part of a weather system that, as it moves on, is channeling bitter cold air like it's the dead of winter into our area. Overnight, record cold. Flurries and still the chance of a squall. Most thermometers near 15, but 5 to 10 above in those hunting lodges in the mountains. Forecast tomorrow will alternate that biting wind with sunshine and periods of passing flurries. A new dusting possible at 25. Record cold again tomorrow night at 15. More flurries amidst periods of sunshine. Wednesday, Thursday night for the Ears game up at Mountaineer Field. Opportunity for some flurries, and those flurries continue into Friday, off and on, before we warm up. 40s on Saturday and probably 50s by the time we get to Sunday, Tim.
All right. Hey, thanks, Tony. Up next, nervous anticipation ahead of that grand jury decision in Ferguson, Missouri. Police and the governor preparing possibly even for the worst.
I think so.
When you get beyond a certain point, even the greatest medical advances are not going to be helpful.
Here's to you, raising class to everyone. Here's to them and all there is to come. They know it, Christmas time and all.
Once again tonight, our attention has been focused back on Ferguson, Missouri.
Demonstrators disrupting streets near the courthouse where a grand jury is deciding whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson in the death of teenager Michael Brown. Well, today Missouri's governor declared a state of emergency, warning of possible expanded unrest, and activated the National Guard. Hundreds of troops called in last August when violence erupted after Brown's death. So this is kind of deja vu. And police say today not all the protesters out there were peaceful. The decision from the grand jury is expected any day now.
The latest patient with Ebola to be flown to the U.S. for care has died. Dr. Martin Salia, a legal U.S. resident, somehow became infected with Ebola while he was in Africa, and by the time he arrived at the Nebraska Medical Center this past Saturday, he was in extremely critical condition. His kidneys were not functioning when he arrived, and his respiratory system quickly failed. So the doctors gave him 2 experimental therapies in the evening. Right when he arrived in Omaha, ZMapp and a plasma transfusion from an Ebola survivor, but they said that nothing would help.
When you get beyond a certain point, even the greatest medical advances are not going to be helpful necessarily. And that's perhaps one of the things that we will take away from this, is that we want to get people early.
Salia initially tested negative for Ebola. A second test then came back positive. Dr. Salia is now the 10th person to be treated in this country for Ebola, and he is the second known to have died from the disease on U.S. soil.
All right, a new version of the Band-Aid song, Do They Know It's Christmas, was released today. Listen.
Here's to you, raising class to everyone. Here's to them and all there is to come.
And that will be stuck in your head until December 26th. The project's called Band-Aid 30, and it's to help raise funds for Ebola victims in West Africa. The song comes almost 30 years after musician and activist Bob Geldof invited rock singers to do a single to help victims of a famine in Ethiopia. One Direction, Ed Sheeran, Ellie Goulding, and Seal are just of a few of the big names that took part in the latest effort. U2's Bono is the only artist from the original lineup to return for this single. Back in 1984, the song raised $11 million. The latest version will be available for download for $1.55. After a journey of 10 years and 310 million miles to the surface of a comet, a history-making space probe may have ended its mission early. The European Space Agency says the probe's battery is dead. It was supposed to keep transmitting data from the comet for 9 months as it passed the sun, but the probe landed on the comet's dark side, away from the sun, so its solar panels can't generate any power. Scientists did retrieve these amazing images, though. Check that out before it went dark. They say they hope the comet rotates and faces the sun again, and that will give the probe a little more juice. Still ahead, what would you do in a world without chocolate? Don't even want to think about it, but we could find out sooner than we may think. Why chocolate makers say we are headed for a cocoa crisis.
I'm Rich Donnelly. Coming up in sports, the Buckeyes get ready for one of the best of the Big Ten, plus the West Virginia Mountain.
A new study out today shows energy drinks can pose a real problem for children. Researchers found 40% of the more than 5,000 calls to poison centers for energy drink exposure involved children under the age of 6. Many of the calls reported the child was experiencing abnormal heart rhythm or having a seizure. Some energy drinks contain more than 300 milligrams of caffeine. The doctors say adolescents can experience serious problems after drinking only 100 milligrams. You may have to pay a little more for your Thanksgiving turkey this year.
Don't worry, it's not enough to kill your appetite. Turkey production is low, so prices are up about 14 cents a pound this year. Now, the average price is about $1.18 a pound. That's compared to $1.03 last year. But you may not notice the increase at the grocery store because economists say retailers are often willing to take a loss on the turkey because customers will spend more for other items like potatoes and cranberries. So you've been warned, cut your coupons now. This is sad. We may be headed for a chocolate crisis. People are eating more cocoa than farmers can produce. That's according to two of the world's largest chocolate makers who say demand could outstrip supply by 2020. A whopping 70% of the world's cocoa is grown in West Africa, but a drought and a fungal disease is causing many farmers there to switch to other cash crops like corn.
I'm Rich Donnelly. Coming up in sports, the Buckeyes get ready for one of the best of the Big Ten, plus the West Virginia Mountaineers are home on a short week. We've got that and more next in sports. I'm Rich Donnelly. Coming up in sports, the Buckeyes.
Nope. That's funny.
We just got to make sure we're gap sound, be very smart.
Play against the Saints. The Bengals seem to have their way with the Saints for most of the game. I watched bits and pieces of that game.
Of the Bengals and Saints game?
Yeah, it seemed to be all Bengals.
It was. I watched a lot of it, actually.
New Orleans.
Just as far as the team.
Shocking. New Orleans has lost 2 straight home games.
Yeah.
After being nearly unbeatable there for.
I don't know who they play next week, but the following week they play the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
Oh, New Orleans goes to Pittsburgh? Mm-hmm. You got that one.
Not necessarily. Nothing is like, where did they come from in the fourth quarter? All of a sudden, like, they just well, let's just let Le'Veon Bell run the ball. And can you start passing again, Roethlisberger? Because if you can, and can you catch the ball into? Oh, okay, great. We'll win then. Like, where was that the whole game? Rich in to check sports. Location, and your location in the postseason will depend on how high you can finish up. And the Buckeyes are trying. They're hoping.
They're trying, and they're also trending in the right direction.
Well, that's true, yeah, and that's important.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about location. Remember that.
Realtor Tim. The Ohio State Buckeyes are in the driver's seat for a berth in the Big Ten championship game. After a convincing win over Michigan State, the Buckeyes skated past the Gophers on the ice and snow in Minnesota. The Ohio State defense does have their work cut out for them this week. Ohio State allowed 3 rushing touchdowns and more than 200 yards on the ground to Minnesota on Saturday. This week's opponent is even better on the ground. Indiana's Tevin Coleman ran for over 300 yards by himself in a losing effort last week. Today, Urban Meyer said that even though his team won, they have to be aware of another great running team this week.
We just got to make sure we're gap sound, be very smart. And we're facing one of the best rush teams, certainly in the Big Ten, and we're just, I think we're comfortable with the style of defense we're playing to go play Indiana, stop that run or limit that run offense.
Here's a list of some of the running backs that the Buckeyes will or could face in the next few games of the season. They've already survived giving up a $145 to Minnesota's Devin Cobb. But now they've got to get ready to face some serious backs. The Buckeyes will most likely face Wisconsin Melvin Gordon in the Big Ten championship game. He set a college football record with 408 rushing yards on Saturday. Needless to say, the defense better be ready. It's a good thing that the Mountaineers had a bye week last week because they've got a short week this week. West Virginia will host Kansas State in Morgantown on Thursday. It'll also be Senior Day in Milan Puskar Stadium. Before the bye, the Mountaineers lost 2 games, both crushing losses. We'll see if they can shake off the rust.
Just as far as the team's mentality, I think we're going to be ready to play. I know we're anxious to do our absolute best when it comes to finishing the year the appropriate way. I know we've lost a couple in a row right here. Guys aren't happy with that. Anxious to get out there on Thursday night and play.
The Steelers were in a tough one down in Nashville. The Steelers are back in the win column after a 27-24 win over the Titans. Pittsburgh will have next week off. We've got some Major League Baseball hot stove action. Miami's Giancarlo Stanton is now the highest paid player in baseball history. He's going to make $325 million over the next 13 years. Jason Hayward's going to be a Cardinal, and former Pirates catcher Russell Martin got paid $82 million over 5 years from Toronto. We are months away from March, but the madness has already begun, trailing Miami with just 2 seconds on the clock. Florida throws up a prayer. Brick City. How about that? The number 8 team in the country goes down. Miami wins 69-67. Amanda?
Probably good after that football game this weekend, right?
Yes. Yeah, they needed that.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Rich. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Strike 2. He's to Charles. Let's play how many snow streaks can we name in 30 seconds. The main streak right now I'm watching, Ripley toward Reedy. How about that one that's east of Charleston right now, upper end of the Kanawha Valley toward Amelia and down toward the Fayette County line. Good streak over near Wayne City right now, dusting the ground near East Lynn. There's a heck of a streak south of I-64, Mount Sterling toward Sandy Hook. A couple of streaks from Prestonsburg down to Hindman in southeast Kentucky. And we got a good streak along the Appalachian Highway right now. You get the idea. We got some school delays tomorrow morning with record cold and a coating of snow. And the temperature in the air will feel like it's mid-January all day long. Brandon on duty starting at 4:30, guys.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope you are warm, bundled up in bed, or perhaps getting there. The Tonight Show's up next.
Hey, if you're not warm, just think about the Hindman Festival. They have the Tony just mentioned, Hindman, Kentucky. Yeah. They have the gingerbread festival every year. Huge gingerbread man they make. He's edible.
That's fun.